Hello, everybody, and welcome to Breaking the Barriers. I appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in, that have shared it. Um, to all the new people, this is your first time joining in the show, sharing the show, being a part of the show. I appreciate you. The show's format is a little bit different than what you normally will see on my live videos. It's more, I will say, calm. We'll use that word. More structured, definitely more calm. All right. But it does get a little heated depending on the guest that we have on. But today, we're not going to have any special guests. It's just going to be me, my brother Anthony, Be the Change Russo. Say hello, everybody who has not met him yet.
Hello.
How you doing today, my brother?
Living the dream, my friend. Great to be on this as usual. And I see the topics we're going to talk about, and we are going to talk about them as peacefully as possible.
Yes.
Probably not.
Yes, we are.
Probably not, actually.
Yes, we will try our best. Let's just say that. Okay. We also have our other co-host, because Anthony is a co-host. And if you haven't already, please go check him out over at Be the Change. He is also a streetlight. Actually, he's what I would say is my partner. He's my partner in streetlights. Me and him are the face behind the scenes that make things go, along with another wide variety of people. That is a team we're actually setting up hubs. All right, for streetlights. Be the Change is the business side of it. Streetlights is the charity side of it. Yeah. Okay.
So while we're waiting on our third person, since you just brought that up. So I know we've got 85 of you guys that have volunteered, and if you're watching right now, I hope you are. We will be sending out an email to connect on how we're going to start doing things. We have. I've gotten somebody, Andrea. You're amazing. You're going to be the hub. She's going to be the hub of information and allowing us volunteers to get together and change this country and make it better in all these groups. So volunteers, thank you. Sit tight. We want to organize first. And then we're talking within the next week, we will have it ready to go. And Andrea, I hope you're watching or possibly doing work for us right now.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Andrea. I love you. Cannot wait to talk with you. We're waiting on Jantisha. We're going to get started without her, but I don't know if you guys know who Jantisha is. For all the newcomers that are here right now, Jantisha is also a streetlight that I met while doing the work that I'm doing along with Anthony, and she was just a bright light, literally. She is definitely a streetlight, and she's also got her own thing that she's doing now called Serenity Now. I'll be sharing that on my page. And we're also working on getting a women's conference set up that I want her to lead. So be prepared for that. I'm also getting a men's conference set up that me and Anthony are going to be a part of, along with a couple other great men. So yeah, you guys just be ready for all of that. It's going to be a great thing. And we got a lot more stuff coming on. And before I get into all these topics, I want to let all you guys know that's watching right now. I got another show coming up that I'm working on. It's called Shine Your Light. Okay. And what that's going to be doing is allowing you, the people that are watching right now, the people that are sharing right now, it's going to let you jump on here with me. How you see Anthony on here, you will be able to be on here with me. And I want you to let your light shine. I want you to show and say what it is that you're doing in your community or in the world to help make the world better, to help bridge the gaps, to help break the barriers, to help be the change. How do you let your light shine? That's going to be a whole different type of show, and it's only going to be positive. We're not going to talk about nothing negative in that show. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity. I want you guys to be able to come on here and let the world know who you are and what you do. And I'm excited about that show. Very excited about
what the theme song is going to be?
No, you could do that. You could do that.
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it. Okay, you got the point. Okay.
I'll be singing it because, hey.
I'm not that tone deaf. Yes, I am.
You're not that bad. Okay, so let me just throw it out there right now. I know you guys see this up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. It says pilled.net. Before we get into the discussion, pilled.net is my sponsor. He's also a streetlight. He's an amazing guy. If you have not checked out pilled.net yet, I encourage you to jump over there and look it up after the show. I put the link in the description of the video, pilled.net. And what that is, it's like basically Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram all combined in one. and it allows you to go on there and have the freedom of speech that you deserve as an American. It touches on a lot of things, wide variety of things. Get in there, get informed today. Pill.net. All right, here we go.
Before we get started, Cash, just already some comments in the box. If you want to find out more information about either of our companies and the way we work, it's streetlightsunityfoundation.org. So streetlightsunityfoundation.org, and then for Be the Change stuff, it's #BeTheChange.com. So that's where you can find both of us. And before we get started, Cash, I got to give you props. The whole way this all started, first off, was you creating a video calling out truth that's now gotten 20 plus 30 million views. And then with how many?
58 million collectively.
58 million between all the different things.
Mark Levin, Ted Nugent,
the Nuge.
David J. Harris. Is that his name? David Harris?
David Harris, yeah.
David Harris, all of them guys shared it, and it spiked it completely over. We were already at like 14 million, and then when they did it, it just went crazy.
Yeah. So that's why we're here. But then part of it is trying to find a way to continue on with your mission. And a lot of people will create a viral content and they stop there, or they start promoting some other crap. You realize that your mission was bigger, and we haven't had we haven't had Breaking the Barriers in a bit. And the whole thing that we're doing is really, you've chosen to you got fortunate to have a platform, and you've chosen to find a way to make the world a better place with it by information, creating a charity, creating a 501c3 in an insanely short period of time, and then continuing to put out content, showing people things. And last night, was it 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago, yeah. 2
nights ago, you did a video about the young child from North Carolina, and
rest in peace, Cannon.
Rest in peace, Cannon. And not only did you put out something that was heartfelt, you created information, which is what the media doesn't do. You brought out something before everybody else. You shared it with somebody else before even Hodge twins, David Harris, which are also phenomenal for sharing stuff like that. But mainstream media, including Fox News, didn't even cover it. Fox News finally covered it yesterday. Didn't cover what it was because it doesn't fit a narrative. And that's what we are here to do, is not just break down barriers, but break down barriers by way of sharing information so that you guys are equipped to know the truth, and you're equipped to know what makes the world a better place. And Cash, you just reached 1 million views on that. Not that we celebrate 1 million views, but we celebrate it on something so negative of a story as that. But we celebrate it because we're getting the truth out there, and we're trying to make change by making the world a better place. So done on that video.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We're going to do that more. That's going to be something that happens regularly on my page personally. Okay, well, that being said, guys, let's get into the discussion. So we have 3 things specifically that we're going to talk about. We'll probably get sidetracked and go into some other things. But Anthony, can you pull up the video to share about Oprah?
Oh, yeah. Got to give me some time on that one.
Okay.
I didn't have that.
I'm sorry, I should have had it prep myself, but
we got a
new baby, so it's a little more difficult to move around and do things the way that I want to do them in the timely manner that I would like to get them done. So that being said, Oprah, if you're unfamiliar with the topic of Oprah, well, there's 2 things that tie into the other part of the discussion that I wanted to talk about, which is the child trafficking. But there's one thing that Oprah said recently about white privilege, which blows my mind that she even said it. Because Oprah is one of the richest, not just women, not just black women, but people, humans on the planet. Self-made. Self-made. She is someone that literally has more money than the next 30 millionaires combined. How crazy is that? The next 30 millionaires, she has more money than them combined. What is she worth? Like $3.2 billion? $3.2 billion. And she's having people believe that if you, as a white person, do not apologize for racism or stand out against racism, or if you haven't done anything to help combat racism, then you are a racist and you have white privilege. That's what she said. If I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what she said.
100%. I'm looking for it because I played it before. To tell you how much it's got coverage in the last week, it's almost impossible to find the original clip because there's either people being pro Oprah or people talking how ridiculous it was that Oprah said that. But there's more. Yeah, it's hard to find. But I'll paraphrase it the same way, similar to what you said. She pretty much First off, she said she was essentially telling people to be apologetic for their whiteness. She kept saying whiteness.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to watch because it was in this like cookie cutter, crystal clear, perfect room. It shows the amount of production value and money that was in it, and it was the most hypocritical thing I've seen. And the best I guess the best I saw of somebody critiquing it was, so you raised yourself up on your bootstraps, you took all the slack, you took how horrible it was to get to where you were, and you did it on your own, and then now you're passing on a message to other Black men and women like you that it's impossible.
Yeah.
Seems a little disingenuous. I'm going to keep looking for that clip.
You know what's crazy about the whole thing, too, is because, Oprah came out in a time of, the 70s? She was born in, the 70s?
80s. She went to work in the 80s, I think.
Yeah, but she was born in the 70s. She was born in the 70s or 60s, whatever, 60s or 70s, and she faced a lot of adversity. I would say that all day long. And maybe she's stuck in that time frame where, because she's out of touch, if you think about it. She's not down here with the regular people. She's not down here with people like you and me. And I don't know if she still thinks that that's the way things are, like the era that she grew up in. I don't know if that's how she views things because of what she went through and thinks that things have not changed. But Oprah, maybe in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, maybe even the 2000, era, you might have faced a little bit. But now, especially right now, you are one of the most wealthy people in the world. And you want, and this is the thing, you're a hero to a lot of people, not just Black, but white, Hispanic, nationally, worldwide, not even just nationally, internationally. People look up to you. And then you come out on your platform, which is huge, which you made on your own. You did it on your own. What you're saying doesn't match what your life has been, because you're saying that white privilege and all this stuff exists and is holding back Black people, but you're one of the richest Black people, and not just Black people, but people ever. You know what I'm saying? And you're debunking your own theory with your own life, with how rich you are, with the success and the strides that you've made. You get it? I don't understand how you could feel that way, straight up. But it's okay. Did you pull that video up?
Yep, I'm about to share it. I found just the short 17-second clip of her talking, which is enough. The whole preface was essentially going into it where guys one of the secondary hosts is like, do we really talk about it like this? I see the offense of white privilege, and she's like, oh, I'll let you, it's not my show, and then she started talking. So let me go ahead and bring it up for you, Cash.
Okay.
Oprah on white.
I'm sorry, but in the comment section over here, I see Miss Jessica Burr has joined in the comment section.
Oh, hi.
Jessica, don't do it. I'm asking you nicely. Please don't do it. Today's not the day for it. Please. She's one of my trolls, everybody. Jessica is one of my trolls. And yeah.
I'm struggling today, Cash. I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's okay.
I got to remember to share volume.
Do you see this? Look at Jessica's comments. She said he hasn't worked for years. He's hanging on to this and donations. I've been a deadbeat.
You know what? I'm going to take the time before we talk about white privilege and Oprah. I'm going to tell you, for those of you watching, I have no idea how many people are on the overall viewing, how I met Cash, because we're going to talk about this real quick, because I'm the most skeptical human being on the planet. I met Cash 2.5 months ago. I was blessed to have somebody send me a video of him talking, and I got super lucky to get a hold of Cash, which is very difficult. And to those of you guys that are upset that he doesn't respond he tries as best he can, but he gets a message a minute right now. So I got very lucky in the beginning. We started talking, we vibed well together, and to the point where I still researched everything about him before he even knew it, because I saw some people's posts about his exes and his history in Freemasonry. And I do my research because I'm like, I'm not going to trust somebody that doesn't deserve my trust. So I'm going to tell you, I've been to Cash's house. I've seen what he currently lives in. He's not hanging on to anything. He's hanging on by a thread for the purposes of making sure that the same way that I do, we believe in creating a message that is getting out there so that we can be a difference in this world. We can be a voice, so that not so that we can be famous, so that we can change the world in a sense, and we get recognized for it. We don't care about recognition, but if you're changing the world, you're going to be recognized. Cash does not take a dime from anyone unless they give it to him. He doesn't ask for it. In the very beginning, he was going through some stuff. He created a viral video, asked for a small amount of money, and it was given to him tenfold. Did he buy jewelry? Did he buy anything? Did he buy a new house? No. He paid his rent to support his family, and he got his cars fixed. So I'm going to end it there. But this gentleman, and you can continue to put whatever you want.
Not just that. And normally, I don't even do this. But not just that. There's people that are part of my page and a part of Streetlights that will attest to personal things. I haven't put it out. I don't put out what I do for people. But they will attest to what I've done for them personally with the extra money that I did not ask for that came to me, what I did for them. And not just that, the funeral that I helped pay for, which I wasn't going to say nothing about. But this lady is driving me crazy, bro. She really is. And that's okay. I'm not, you know what? I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to go ahead and say all the things that I have done and that I still want to do and that I'm trying to do. But Jessica, I'm telling you, you're going to make me make you famous and you're not going to like it. So please, I'm asking you, get off my trail. This woman follows my every post, even on other people's pages. I don't know how, but she does.
I saw one of the Streetlights say something, and this is a good point. I've given my piece about how I feel about you and exactly what you're going through as a human. You're not hanging on anything, but we're validating her. So let's end it because we actually have important things to talk about. And I know you can block her, right? You know how to block her comments.
Yeah, I'll block her. I was trying to leave her on to give her a chance to stop because I wrote her. I'm going to share those messages later. I tried to get her to chill. Yeah, and have her stop, but she's like obsessed with me, bro. Straight up, she is obsessed with me, and in like a loving way and hateful way. Like she wants me, and I'm like, yo, chill, and she won't stop. But yeah, whatever.
We got important stuff to talk about, but that was a good moment and a good time to share the fact that really you are who you are. You are literally who you say you are. You are what you talk about. You are everything about it. I drove through the hood with Cash where he grew up, where he told me he shot up buildings, shot up stores, burnt down buildings. His past is exactly who he says he is. And he not only atones for it, but realizes that he now can use his platform to change it. And we're going to change it despite some people that get upset about not getting responded to. We are trying our best to speak to every human being we can. That's all I have to say. Done. Bye. Good talk. Moving forward. All right, I've got that video ready to go.
Let's do it. I'm gonna throw it up there. So put.
All right.
There we go. Cool.
All right. So this is just a 17-minute or 17-second clip on Oprah talking about whiteness.
White people. There are white people who are not as powerful as the system of white people, the caste system that's been put in place, but they still, no matter where they are on the rung or the ladder of success, they still have their whiteness.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
ridiculous.
Basic. Yeah.
Ridiculous. I don't even know what that means. I don't even understand that.
In context, she was literally talking about no matter how rough somebody has it, it doesn't quite matter because they still have their whiteness. That was what it all equated to. It like and you and I have talked about this, and you and I even have a difference in opinion in white privilege, but I've come to understand the concept of the term. But it's comments like that from a billionaire that worked very hard to get there, but a billionaire to tell me like, yeah, but you still have your whiteness. That's rough for me because I'm like, yeah, I still have my disabled fatherness. I still have my growing up in povertyness. I still have my free lunchness. Like, so who can? What does whiteness mean still to this point? It doesn't make any sense.
You know, I think that personally, I think that she's being used as a tool to further divide because you notice a lot of people started walking away from the Black Lives Matter organization, still stating that they believe Black Lives Matter, but they started walking away from the actual organization and leaving it. And it was a lot of people that were, you know, making videos about how they're leaving Black Lives Matter. They don't agree anymore. And then here comes Oprah a black billionaire who influences a lot of people across the world, not even just here in America. And she makes a statement like that and like rekindles the flame that was dying down. You know what I mean?
She's great at marketing, and she markets herself by being caring, loving, and a quote unquote empath, and at the same time bringing up stuff that essentially gets people talking. I used to love Oprah, and I actually talk about her when I do my speaking a lot because her story is great. She went through failure to get to where she was, but she makes some statements now that she's big. I think she's rough on the platform that she's on, because you look at when Trayvon Martin was killed, she was relating Emmett Till, which is one of the worst stories in American history for black culture, for everything. And she related Emmett Till, was it Michael Brown or was it, I think it might've been Michael Brown. Either way, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, she related that to Emmett Till.
That's like hard to do. Emmett Till was a horrible case of racism.
The only, like, you can maybe look at Tamir Rice as a correlation between the two, but you can't look at a Trayvon. It's very different circumstances, and she galvanizes a base to create division, and it's not about creating. She builds up the barriers that we try to break down.
Exactly, I agree. There was another thing about Oprah that I seen going around, a statement that she had made when she was talking about about
Weinstein. She was BFFs with Weinstein.
Dude, can you pull that up? Because I want to move into the next topic. I just wanted to touch on that about Oprah and her saying that, like, come on, whiteness. And did you see all these people that were apologizing for their white privilege and all this stuff? I'm like, how the hell do you apologize for slavery that you had no part of? How do you apologize for a racist view that you've never had? There's white people that ain't never been racist before in their life, but because they don't speak out what you want them to speak out against, all of a sudden they're racist. That makes no sense. And coming from a woman of her reputation, that's like, it blows my mind. But I guess once you get a certain level of fame and a certain level of money, you could pretty much say and do whatever the hell you want to with no repercussion. Because no matter what, if everybody stopped following her today, she'd still be filthy rich for the rest of her life.
I don't know which quote you're talking about, so I'm having a little trouble finding it. But what I will say is I think it's interesting, and this is going to relate the situation about what we're going into, Kamala Harris being the vice presidential nominee.
I can't wait to get to that.
Are we talking about that this episode?
Oh, we're talking about that this episode.
I'll wait then. I'll wait. Because
the comment that I'm talking about with Oprah is how she's talking about if a kid is touched right, it's basically they enjoy it.
Oh, that one, the old clip. I got it. Yeah. Give me a second on that one. You go ahead and keep chatting.
Whoa. Blew my mind. I can't wait to go on Patreon tonight. We're going to talk I'm going deep down the rabbit hole with the people, or not tonight, tomorrow night. That's going to be, I got a lot of stuff I'm getting together for that, but that's going to be something, man. And I want to talk about it here, but I know we got to tread carefully on how we say things, because this is also streaming to the streetlights.
You know what? I don't even need to we don't need to find the video, because most people I think have probably seen it. She takes something, but what's more mind-boggling to me right now, and I'll still continue to look for it, is Reuters fact check actually says that it's a false claim that Oprah Winfrey's comments appeared to condone child abuse. How is that false? We're watching a video of her saying it. It says Winfrey's words have been taken out of context in the short video that is the subject of this check, and the video is misleading. Headline to suggest she's condoning promoting sexual abuse. The video singles out a 2-minute section of the original hour-long video in which Winfrey talks about the topic of grooming. That shows you how wrong our fact checks are, because literally it was very specific in that moment, and the rest of the episode did talk about other stuff, because I watched the whole hour. That's insane to me. I haven't seen the fact check until just now, but I'll keep looking, because that's mind-boggling.
I got it right here. I already done pulled it up.
Oh, you got it? All right.
Yeah, I'm going to put it up right now. Forget it. I'm doing it.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah, and I want to, at one point, I don't know if we can continue in this, but most people watch the TV show, or most people have heard of the TV show The View, and Whoopi talking about I'm going to look for it in the comments. I'm going to need you guys' help. The guy, Roman Polanski, talking about him like, because he was accused of having sex with a 13-year-old and then confirmed that he had sex with a 13-year-old. And she stood up for him in an Old View episode where she's like, I mean, it was consensual. It's considered like is sex with an underage woman the same as rape? Oh,
That's
wait.
crazy.
Oh, wait.
That's crazy, dude.
How does she still have a job? That was in 2012.
Yeah. Trust me, I hear you.
Roseanne had a late night rant one time and said some stupid shit
really
one time. Done. Canceled. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. Okay, what's going on here? Did I do it wrong? Yeah.
I don't know what you do. Richard.
I want you guys to hear this. And maybe it is out of context. Who knows? But I know it's wrong. That's all I'm saying. Even the way that
it's not out of context because I watched the stuff around it. It's not out of context. That's bullshit.
Wait a minute.
Your swear jar.
It's okay. Where is it at?
Oh, I thought you found it. I stopped looking.
I did.
No, it's not.
Gotta love the music, right?
Yeah.
All right, we got John Teach in the background.
All right.
In order for it to work, it has to be somebody you know, somebody you admire, somebody you respect, or maybe even love. And it feels good. I mean, if you're 7 years old and somebody, which I was trying to say this to my friends who had children, you're 7 years old and someone is stroking your penis, it feels good. Even though you don't have a name for what that is, it feels good.
And that was such a particularly challenging part for me in beginning therapy. That was one of the biggest things I kept bringing.
That's gross. Say hello to John Tisha, everybody. Hey, John Tisha.
Hey, guys.
You guys said you couldn't hear that. You two go ahead and talk about what you just heard. I'm going to find a better video because that's what I wanted them to hear, is that right there. It's sick. So I'll be right back. You two take over. Talk about that real quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, I can't hear you.
For real?
Oh, there you are. I couldn't hear you at first. Did you do it on purpose?
No, I think that was all cash. All right, so first introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm John Tisha. I'm out in Cali. I don't have like a fun like intro. I'm the new host of what's it called? Serenity Now. I just started it. I just created it, and that's it.
Well, Cash talked about it earlier. I think it's ironic that you're wearing a flash shirt about being fast when you're late.
Hey, I had another meeting, so I'm sorry. We got out early. Otherwise, I think I might have missed this. So.
Sandbagging
I
son of
love the Flash. I love the Flash. Okay, hold on, guys. I think I found it.
Done right, child abuse feels good.
So this is what so many people don't understand. A big part of the confusion and shame for child victims is that the attention and the seduction from the predator, who is probably going to be somebody you know. Right. In order for it to work, it has to be somebody you know, somebody you admire, somebody you respect, or maybe even love. And it feels good. I mean, if you're 7 years old and somebody, which I was trying to say this to my friends who had children, you're 7 years old and someone is stroking your penis, it feels good. Right. Even though you don't have a name for what that is, it feels good. And when I first said this years ago, people were like, "You crazy," because everybody wants to believe it's like sexual assault and you're being thrown up against the wall and you're being raped. And I have said for years, if the abuser is any good, you won't even know it's happened. You will be in it and you won't even know it's happened. And if the abuser is any good, he or she is going to make you feel like you're a part of it. I mean, and nothing is more being a part of it than what we discussed earlier. Then you say you were married. You had marriage vows and you have rings.
Right.
Oprah legitimized the notorious sex criminal Joe Teixeira, aka John of God, as a miraculous faith healer, one who could cure cancer, giving him international recognition. Joe Teixeira is now serving 19 years in prison for the rape of 4 women. He is facing additional cases related to several sex crimes, including keeping teenage women as sex slaves in underground mines, forcing them to have his children, and selling their babies internationally for tens of thousands of dollars before murdering the women after about 10 years of childbirth. Oprah runs her own leadership academy for girls in Africa, a $40 million school for disadvantaged girls, where in 2007, several children were sexually abused and parents were only allowed to see their children once a month.
And I have said for years, if the abuser is any good, you won't even know it's happened.
Oprah was very close with disgraced Hollywood mogul, rapist, and abuser Harvey Weinstein. Her Me Too documentary ignored Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein. Oprah was herself a teenage prostitute. She stokes the fires of racism in America. And she is a member of the Billionaire Club, or the Good Club, along with Bill Gates, George Soros, Warren Buffett, David Rockefeller, and Ted Turner. The so-called Good Club meets behind closed doors and discusses plans for global depopulation. The Great Awakening is upon us.
Okay. That was disturbing. That was disturbing.
Can I say something though?
Sure.
Like, okay. Of course, this would be the time that the part of the conversation that I'm actually free for. Because I thought I was gonna miss the whole thing, but of course this would be the topic. I'm so nervous right now. I'm so nervous. Good. I want to cry. I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for this, but she's not entirely wrong. There are not every experience is brutal, not experience is painful, not experience is like, oh shit, what's happening? Like, not every experience is like that, especially when you're little and you don't know any better. And she's right to agree to a degree, especially if it's not talked about, if the kids are not educated, if, you know what I'm saying? Like in those manners, like I know people who it's been a family member and it went on for years, but it wasn't violent. It wasn't like that. Like they were playing.
No, you're right.
You are 100% right.
You're 100% right. You know, I share my story a little bit with you. I feel you. I understand. Trust me.
I'm not condoning what she said whatsoever. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that a lot of people hear that and they like freak out and they're like, oh my God, you know, but really it's not always like that. And it's not always like that. And I have my own experience and it wasn't like that. So,
yeah. It's just the context of the way that she said it. That's what we're touching on. It's like, I get what she was saying, but what she said, like how she said what she said, it's like, okay, hold on. You know what I'm saying? It was wrong. That was kind of sick. I got like my stomach turned.
Like she endorsed it?
Yeah.
It's almost like she was giving a page out of her playbook.
Yeah. That's teaching them.
You look at what happened.
I see,
right.
Yeah.
You see what happened at her school. It's like, yes, she might be the sweetest, like, she's like, well, if you're the sweetest human being in the planet, you kind of can start to build those relationships without people knowing. And you you look at scientifically or historically and scientifically, the people that take advantage, and I've had these conversations recently, the people that take advantage of people the most are the ones that have philanthropic leaning concepts towards these kind of groups. Like, well, I work a lot with groups of girls that have been raped, and I work a lot of work. Stereotypically, it's those people that actually are the ones that also become the aggressor and the abuser. They're a lot more gentle, they're nicer, but they get involved and they force themselves in these situations. And the way Oprah said this, and at the same time having an organization that did the same thing, is a little bit on the scary side.
Yeah. See, the thing, like, I get what she's saying, because, most people, a lot of people have had things happen to them. I'm gonna go ahead and say that, and it's messed up. You feel me? And it messes with you for the rest of your life. It, you know what I'm saying? It does some stuff happens to you mentally, and changes the way you feel about things. Like me personally, I can't stand. If there's one thing I can't stand, like, the most, it's a child predator, someone that molests somebody. And she was right in what she said, is someone that's close to you or that knows you, like family and all of that. But the way, in the context that she said it, like, well, if they're any good, then it'll feel good when you stroke a 7-year-old, or just how she said it, like, it didn't sit well. Even though we didn't get the full show, we're not watching the full context of the show. Just hearing that, like, you're basically telling, like, if say a pedophile sitting there watching it, like, oh, okay, so I got to get him to like me first, and then I got to be gentle, and I got to make it a nice experience. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're teaching them how to be a pedophile. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I mean.
I didn't see the rest of that video either.
Yeah, well, I watched the whole video in context, and I seen the conversation. I get it. I get the context of the conversation. I'm sure, she meant well with the people that she was talking to, but that particular part was disturbing, how she voiced it and the way that she voiced it for me. And then on top of it, with all this stuff going on and her being, implicated in things, we'll talk about that later on Patreon. But you look at it and you're like, okay, then you're looking at a bigger picture, because it's like, that's why she said it like that. That's why.
If you could have such a passion for something, how could you how can you be that close of friends to somebody like Harvey Weinstein? You just and I know you're going to talk about it later, but that's it. Like it. The way she has the playbook, the way she had violations that we don't speak much of in terms of her organization with kids, and the fact that she was she stood up for Harvey Weinstein until it was too much, until everybody was like, all right, I got to back off. That to me is a huge character flaw in a human being. And then to also go back to our original conversation, this is a woman talking, although her hard upbringing, talking about like, well, you still have your whiteness. You still have your abusiveness. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Okay. So next thing I want to talk about, guys, let's move a little forward. We're going to talk about the presidential race, and we're going to talk about Kamala. Really is the main focal point of what I want to talk about with her. Anthony, I know you had some things that you want to say about it. I don't know how careful we got to be about wording on this, because it is streaming on,
You're good.
But go ahead and kick us off, man.
So as we know, am I hearing an echo for some weird reason? I don't know why.
Let me kick you out. Kick you back in.
How about now? That's better.
Good. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ultimately, we have, with the presidential election, we're going to talk politics, but we're not endorsing Trump, Biden, doesn't matter. But fact is, it's news, and it's talking about a presidential candidate and his vice president, which is Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has a very interesting record when it comes to her past as working with the DA and working with criminal reform and punishment, which was actually very interesting because she has been known and proven to withhold information that could have freed criminals. But the biggest thing is her past, which I find interesting, because one of the biggest things right now in this election cycle is we talk about bringing slavery back up, and whether we talk reparations and how we talk about that. And Cash, I know, talks a lot about like who actually was the slave owners. There's a lot of African slave owners, and we're discounting that. We're discounting black slave owners. But ultimately, you've got Kamala Harris that is about 4 generations removed from an Irish slave owner who was white. who impregnated what would probably be her great-great-great-great-grandmother. So I think it's about 4.5 generations. So then it poses the point, because our country is a melting pot. That is who we are. And it is that point that if you're going to select on the Democratic side somebody that has a history of in the slave world, and whether it was so it's a dichotomy, and you've talked about this. We've got a slave and we've got a slave owner, and that is your relatives, which is incredibly common in the United States of America for Black people to have been a part of something that was a crappy situation 100, 200, 300 years ago. So how do you really have reparations, or how do you still keep bringing up slavery? So that's a weird thing. She's the benefit of somebody that was wealthy and a slave owner, and also the ultra negative of a child of a slave. So I think it's an interesting topic to make that your choice as a potential leader of the free world, to almost completely dispel everything we're talking about in terms of why we keep bringing up slavery in terms of today's world.
Yes. And also on top of the whole slavery thing that she comes from, people don't know that she didn't even want to identify herself as an African-American woman. She didn't want to be known as Black. None of that. It just happened recently. Yeah, it just happened recently that she started to claim herself to be an African-American woman. She identified herself as Indian
American. Correct.
Indian American. And now all of a sudden she's an African-American woman, and she's the female Barack Obama. And she's just such a great pick. And she's going to help out Black America. But if you look at her track record, she has someone still incarcerated that can be free right now. He's innocent.
For a $12 DNA test.
A $12 DNA test. The man is innocent. And because she doesn't want her incarceration rate to go down, she refused this man his freedom. She refused to get this DNA test because she doesn't want to lose a conviction. That is insane. That shows you how much she actually cares about Black people, or African-American people, as they trying to put it, like that they're just the saviors of Black people. Her and Biden are just going to be this dream team, you know? And it's deeper than that, even with her. Like, if you look into all the things that she's done, if you look at all the messed up things, even her and, Sleepy. Yeah.
So, here, the thing is this, like, what they're not going to be, no, I shouldn't say they, because I'm not taking a side, but if Kamala could debate Trump, that would be what they need, because Kamala can talk. Kamala is a much better, Biden, yeah. Kamala can actually speak. So watching them in a debate together would actually make it interesting. But you look at her track record in terms of all of the stuff. She's a bad pick. She was a bad pick to run for president in the first place because of she's got so many flaws. And you also have to look at where they come from in their cities and their states and their jurisdictions. San Francisco has a poop app based on public fecal matter. Like San Francisco is one of the biggest current money, the GDP out of California and the GDP out of San Francisco, and the disproportion, you got what I'm saying, of wealth is so huge in San Francisco. And this is the person you're choosing to bridge the gap. It is literally because she checks the box of a minority in multiple ways. Female, checks the box of a minority of Indian American, potentially African American, and she can speak. Besides that, her track record, very similar to Biden's, who's huge on mass incarceration and all these different things. It makes zero sense, except for the fact that our country doesn't look at actual concrete information. We look at surface. That's the problem.
Well, what also is another thing to touch on is the fact that, okay, first off, why she was picked by Sleepy to be her running mate blows my mind, because when they were debating against each other, she went at him hard, basically accused him of some.
I got corrected recently because I thought in my brain I remembered her saying that she called him a racist. She actually said,
No.
she actually said, 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 she actually said I'm not calling you a racist,
Right.
but
I'm not talking about that.
oh, okay,
I'm
sorry.
not talking about her calling him racist. I'm talking about her basically making the same accusations against him when it comes to women and, you know, things like that. All those accusations that she made, some nasty accusations that she made to this dude, and came at him, like just ripped him. And basically, she's not called and didn't call him a racist, but said, "Why didn't you stand against this? Why didn't you stand against that?" I'm not calling you a racist, but like everyone else, what she's doing is, I'm not calling you a racist, but all the signs point to you as being a racist. Basically, is what she did.
Using the word "but." I'm not calling you an asshole, but that's the same thing as saying it, which is why my mind remembered it that way. But I did accept the fact that I was wrong. John Tisha, what do you think?
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, do you think that a large part of why she's popular is because she's a colored woman? She would be the first at all in that position. And I feel like because of that, I think a lot of people are like ignoring all the other facts. And the fact that when she was on her little campaign speech with Biden, like she didn't have accurate information either.
She really seldom does. And the thing about her is, see, people, you know, when we start talking about like the conspiracy stuff, like with Soros, George Soros, all the stuff's coming out now about her relationship with the Soroses. You know what I'm saying? She's very close with his son. There's pictures of them all out there, and she just happens to be the pick for Biden. And all this stuff pertaining to Biden with Black Lives Matter and all the stuff that he endorses and trying to get the black vote and telling people you're not black if you don't vote for me. And then she jumps on the train with him, who she was ripping him, and then they're smiling together. Then we find out all the stuff about Biden with him plagiarizing people and not having his own thoughts or his own words or his own speeches and not citing people for him and not knowing anything about what he's doing. Like he slips up a lot and doesn't have an original thought. So that leads me to believe, okay, this is why he was picked, because obviously he doesn't mind using other people's material. So if someone's going to handwrite him material and give it to him and say, here, this is what we want you to do, this is what we need you to say, he's a pro at that because he's been doing it on his own his whole career. Then both of them have a career of literally holding black people back and down. They have a career of it. Literally, both of them have a career of locking up black people and keeping black people locked up. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. But hey, I guess they're very popular in the black community. Oh yeah, that's another one. The Jussie Smollett thing. The Jussie Smollett thing with her and what she said.
They're not related though. Somebody said
no, they're not related. But what she said, when she was like, "Oh, this should never happen to somebody," and all this stuff, she locks up poor black men and keeps them locked up, but excuses Smollett when he gets charged with being a liar. He got how many different felonies for this, for what he did, and they're dropping it. It's being dropped. You guys hear that? It's being dropped. They're not even going to do nothing to him for it. Why? Why? You get what I'm saying?
He's got a good lawyer.
And that's the next thing that comes into it. That's where it shows you right then and there too how it's not a black-white thing. It's definitely a money thing. It's definitely a money thing.
On that note, have you seen the conspiracies? I don't know how, I mean, you guys tell me, but about how it connects to Pelosi in the end?
Yeah. How it connects to Pelosi. So say Biden, God forbid Biden drops, like he's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kamala can't, I guess, become the president because she's not, I don't know how they put it, American, or I don't know how they put it, but it'll go straight to Pelosi.
No, that's wrong though. It's incorrect. So Kamala would, if you can become vice president, you can become president. So she technically would become president,
even if he's not inaugurated yet.
Ooh, I don't know about that one because that one's a different story.
Yeah, because they were saying if they couldn't come to an agreement, if they couldn't actually come to agreement about who was going to be in office or whatnot, then the seat technically would end up being open, and that the next person in line would be Pelosi.
Looking into
If there was a discrepancy with the votes.
Keep chatting. I'm looking it up. I'm looking up the law.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Basically, if say Biden wins, this is what I heard. If Biden wins and he passes away before his inauguration, and him and Kamala are set to be the president and the vice president, if he passes away before his inauguration, then Kamala doesn't get a seat to be the president of the United States, then it will go directly to Pelosi.
Something like that. Yeah, it was like before like the middle and January. Or if somehow mail-in votes was approved and there was a discrepancy with the votes that Trump would be unseated, but they wouldn't have a seat either because it wasn't approved, or that they couldn't what's the word?
I don't know if this is true.
They didn't know who was going to be the president.
I don't know if any of this is true. When I'm asking the question, I'm not saying that this is what it would be. This is just a theory that's going around that I read, and obviously that you read, Jantisha. And if anybody has any knowledge on that, if it's true or not, please, we would love to know, because that's scary to even think about. That would be scary.
Yeah. No, it was just that I seen.
It's actually it's in question because it's never happened before, so there's actually not necessarily a rule for it that I can find. They're saying it could be something that the Democratic Party, or Republican Party, either way, would actually be able to essentially select their. Essentially, it becomes probably Pelosi's decision. And again, I'm not 100% sure because there's a lot of different information on it. It would become Pelosi's decision, but not necessarily her as president. You're correct. Yeah. Because the only other time it happened was Greeley. Greeley was a president that was set to probably win in it like 2 or 3 days before the election. I don't even know which presidential election this was. He died. I don't know when this was. 20th Amendment provides if the president-elect. Okay, 20th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution provides that if the president-elect dies, the rules of succession apply, and the vice president-elect becomes president-elect. So that would mean it's Kamala.
Even if he's not inaugurated?
Yeah. The 20th Amendment says if the president-elect dies, meaning the winning presidential candidate dies after the election, but before the inauguration.
Look what Barbara just said. It's true that if you cannot put a candidate in the presidential seat by January 20th, the Speaker of the House automatically becomes president. Is that true?
That's yes. Yeah, 100%. But that's if Kamala is not available. But the 20th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution provides that if the president-elect dies, the rules of succession apply, and the vice president-elect, which would be Kamala, becomes the president-elect.
Okay.
Ooh,
okay.
So. Got it.
Oh. Woo! Well, that's scary. Either way it goes, if they win, it's like scary to me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm sure it won't be like, death to everybody or nothing like that, but I think we'd have a rough time.
But they're already talking about Kamala being president, because they're already looking at Biden, because and again, I had that post last week where I was like, I had a close friend that when I showed some issues with Biden, and not that, again, I am not supporting either candidate. My whole concept was stop disliking Trump voters, because there is reasons to dislike Biden. There's reasons to dislike Trump. Why do we have to fight each other on everything we're saying? Because Biden's got some clear weak spots. And my hardcore Democrats, instead of sticking up for Biden, they ended up just saying, well, he's going to be able to pick a cabinet. Like, but you're still voting for a presidential candidate. Like, you still want one person out of the two. And then you look at Kamala. And Kamala does, even when I heard Joe Rogan's interview, and I know you saw this, Cash, I think John Tisci, you've probably seen this too. There was an interview with Joe Rogan and a guy that was speaking against Kamala, how terrible she was. But his whole thing was, but at least it's not Trump. Like, you just explained all these horrible things. You haven't seen that one yet, Cash?
No.
He does this interview. He's like, at least it's not Trump. And he's the one that really outlines all the issues with Kamala's record with keeping people incarcerated that shouldn't have been and withholding evidence. And he still chose that over Trump, which You're allowed to have if you've got some reasons why you hate him so much. Joe Rogan didn't say that. Joe Rogan's guest said that.
No way, bro.
No, Joe Rogan's guest said that.
Okay. Well, I got a question.
Yeah, let's freak out.
Yeah, man, I love Joe Rogan. Question though.
Your heart almost broke and fell on the floor.
Bouncing back to the child trafficking thing, and I want to talk about this briefly with Joe Biden. And like, how do y'all feel about that? Because you see the videos that there are with him literally like groping little girls' faces and then smelling them, and like,
it's so disturbing.
Yeah, what's the point of that? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I don't think Biden is a child trafficker. I do not think that. I think he's creepy as hell. Like, he's just like, and honestly, there's those videos, and I'm assuming most of the people watching have probably shared the video of him for like 3 minutes where it's just him like,
yeah.
Like, he's just weird. And the weirdest part about those videos, first off, it's wrong, flat out. I have a 4.5-year-old daughter. If he touched my daughter like that, it'd be one of those. I'd be like, I don't care if I'm in the Oval Office. Wow, no.
I would forget that I'm a street light real quick. Like, it'd be bad.
A whole different street light, and but it's a different situation. So his are wrong, and the creepiest part about those videos is not even the way he touches his kid, the kids. It's the way that his wife is always there at that one moment where once it crosses the line, she's the like, oh, Joe. Like, you could see, she's literally on patrol of making sure he's not being too creepy. And that the fact that she is in that role is what scares me the most. Okay, before we get too much into politics, because I do want to say this, and I know that we probably have a lot of Trump voters in here and maybe some Biden ones. Here's the point, is what we're trying to get at with all of this, with human flaws, presidential flaws. And this was one of the core concepts of Be the Change in the very beginning. And we completely agree on this when it comes to streetlights. Cash and I, whatever way you vote, it doesn't mean the end of the world if it's one candidate or the other. We have the power as human beings to be decent to each other. And it should, and our voting rights and who we vote for does not have a daily effect on our lives unless we let it. We can choose to volunteer. We can choose to be decent. We can choose to be really kind to people that are Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter. So all that we're talking about is presenting information, but at the same time, politics don't mean as much as we let it mean.
Exactly.
Correct.
And another thing that I want to say to everybody is, no matter who is the president of the United States, this is what we got to understand, and I need people to understand this, grasp this, and hold on to this with what I'm about to tell you. In our Constitution, okay, we have the power. We are letting people believe that they don't have any power. No, we have all the power. The people, we the people of the United States have the power. If our government gets too out of control, and they're doing things that we don't agree with, we have the power to change that. It's just that we have forgotten how, because we're so into politics and we think that you got to follow this guy or this guy and they're going to be the savior or knight in shining armor. It's not the real case. Yes, there are some good good politicians that want to make some big changes, and they're probably the best people in the world. But at the end of the day, we have the power. If we don't like something, we have the power to change it. And it's not just by voting. Yes, voting is a big deal. It is something that needs to, you need to get out there and vote. True enough. And not just for a presidential level. You need to get out and vote for the people in your cities. You know what I'm saying? For the state. You got to look at all of it. And you need to get out and do that. But we have the power, if we don't like something, to change it. If something is going on that is messing up our country or messing us up as a people, we have the power to change it. It wouldn't take nothing for, look at, I got 150 something thousand followers, right? 150,000 people to go in front of the White House and protest. That right there would make headlines. It'd be a big, big deal if it ever came to that. And it's not just that, because between all the people that I know that have all their followers and their base, and then all the people that's watching right now with all their followers and their fan base and their people, their family, all of us, once we get united, and that's why I push it so hard on the unity thing. No matter if you're going to vote for Joe Biden at this election or you're going to vote for Trump in this election, whatever. That's your prerogative. But don't forget that our connection is to the people, not to our candidate. We have to stay connected as people. That's our duty, to be Americans, brothers and sisters together, countrymen in arms together, making sure that we all get the best experience that America has to offer. We have to stand up for each other. Stop promoting the candidate. Stop promoting the candidate as your one and all, because you're voting for your candidate to do the things that you want them to do. You only vote for them because you believe that they have the same beliefs as you. Okay? But at the end of the day, if they don't and they do something wrong in this country, it's our duty. Let me read it. I just got to read it real quick. Not this one. Where's it at?
Russo, that's when me and you come on the side of Cash and we're like, back.
Dun,
That's
dun,
right.
dun.
That's right.
I want to read it. Everybody listen. This is important. You can take a sound bite of this one. You can share this video right now so people can hear this right now, what I'm about to read. All right? Okay. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's gods has entitled them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, which is us. Okay? They get their powers from us. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, okay? When they become destructive to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing his powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Okay? Do y'all get that?
Mm-hmm.
You understand that? You understand that? The power belongs to us. They got to do what makes us happy, not what makes them happy.
But they're not going to do that.
Huh?
They're not going to do that.
That's
so
why it's important for us to unite. That's
Correct.
the whole point of what I'm preaching. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say, is that us, the people, once we forget, okay, if your person that you want to win the election doesn't win the election, fine, whatever. We still have to unite on a ground level to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing for us. Because it's not about them. They're there because we put them there. But the governed have the power. We have the power, the people, which is why they keep us divided, which is why they give you Republican and Democrat. They want you to choose a side. Because there, if you choose a side, they know that you're important. They know that you are important. Understand that. The people that are running know how important you are, which is why they need you. Because if you justify them, then they get to do what they want. Do you get what I'm saying? We got to not let them do what they want. We have to get them to do what we want. And how can we get them to do what we want if we aren't even united to know what we want as a whole? We have to become united together as Americans and as humans, because there's also human rights around the world. We see things going on. We have the power as America to fix it. Why? It's just the way it is. We're the most powerful nation and one of the most beautiful nations on the face of this planet. And I believe that with everything in me. That's why we kind of police the world, because we have the power to. But I need you guys to understand that you have the power. But separated, we're weak. If we're divided against each other, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Right.
A house divided against itself cannot stand. We have to be united in our house, regardless of who's president, regardless of who's running, regardless of the politics, regardless of anything. We have to be united. All right? I need you guys to understand that. Please don't forget that. Go ahead, guys.
So how does that happen? Somebody put that in the comment box. That's a great question. Being united sounds like a great thought. So ultimately, and we've seen these things in the last couple of weeks, because now that we're getting closer to the election, we're seeing more fights. And people have asked me, even on the episode the other day with Cash, why I walk on eggshells. And in order to unite right now, we sometimes have to take things on the chin, because at the end of the day, we have to realize that in order to unite, we have to show this next level of empathy, even though we are fighting it. There's been comments, even though like, no, I'm still going to stand. And if anybody talks terrible about my president, I'm going to tell them to F off. I get it. But in order to unite, we have to find a way. And since we have a following of people with Cash that are listening to his every word, we have a responsibility that we can speak out and give information on why we disagree. And you could speak out and give information on why you feel somebody's wrong. But in order to unite, you do have to monitor the way that you come at people just a little bit. So when people are asking, but how do we unite on the side? And how does this happen? How do we become united and stand and blah, 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 blah. Divide it, because we have to find a different way of communication. Cash, I was talking to Curtis earlier today, because right now, what's going on? How much money are we going to give for the next stimulus, for this new coronavirus bill? Republicans want $1 trillion and Democrats want $3.4 trillion. Why can't we just compromise? Because it's an election year. There's a political cycle behind it. So every act that a politician is doing right now, it's because of our flawed system, Republican and Democrat, because of the system that we have. Every word that is said in the House and every word that is said in the Senate is all about who's going to get elected in November on every level. So it's dangerous. So at the end of the day, why can't they just say $2 million or 2.5 and call it quits? Is because whenever the Republicans don't want to come up, the Democrats will look at it and say, they're not compromising with us. But what you don't see in some of the mainstream media is part of that compromise also throws in a whole bunch of bills that the Democratic side has tried passing for the last 20 years that they can't get through. So it's a bargaining technique. So they're holding hostage. At the same time, Republicans are being stubborn as well and not allowing any room for growth. So it's not even a Republican Democrat thing. And this is to end the point, Cash, and go back to you, is at the end of the day, we're still the people. We still hold the power to know that we're going to vote the way we're going to vote, but we're still going to be the actual human beings at the end of the day to not fight each other, knowing that there's no way that we're going to get a concrete answer out of our politics. We have to stay together.
We have to stay together. Go ahead, John Tisha.
I was going to say, it really comes down to being, you probably won't like this, but being the bigger person, like having integrity, standing, but knowing that you might not agree or whatnot, but holding yourself to a certain standard to be able to hear someone else as they're hearing you. And it really takes a level of self-control to do that. And if people are willing to have some kind of self-control to unite, because again, ultimately, that's our end game, right? That's our goal, is to be united, to be one people, to live in harmony, to have peace, to be able to have connections with other people that challenge our thought process, our beliefs, our ideas, to help us grow and learn. You have to have some type of self-control, and that comes, again, something I always talk about, comes down to choice. Choice is power, and you have that power. And if we the people have power in the United States, then we the people should be able to muster up our own power and be able to relate and talk to the people of the nation, since we're powerful.
Yes, I agree.
It's not easy, but you could do it.
I totally agree, 100. I barely ever disagree with you. You're pretty awesome. To add to that though, we have to look at the overall spectrum. Okay, some of these politicians want to do what's best for them and their party,
Right.
not what's best for the American people. And that's where the problem comes in. Who's trying to do the best for the people? Who's trying to do the best for the country and the people in this country? That's what we got to start looking at. And that's what we got to start paying attention to. Get involved. Start reading these bills that they try to pass through, and then ask yourself, where do these bills come from? How did they think them up to write them? What's the purpose behind these bills? Why do we need these bills? And who is producing them? Who's producing these bills? Where are they getting the idea from? You always got to look at the end game. Who has something to gain from this, and who's going to lose with it?
There's a lot of bills.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of bills, and no one ever hears about them. Most Americans don't even know anything about the bills that go through, the importance of them, and what they're going to do to the country or to the certain state or the certain curriculum of schools, things like that. Healthcare, Social Security, all types of things get passed through, and we don't hear nothing about it because they want you to be distracted by the next person that gets shot by a cop, or they want you to be distracted by the next football game that's coming on, or they want you to go and watch Love and Hip Hop, or they want you to, there's always a distraction. That's all it is. That's what news has become. The news has become nothing about the real news about our country. It's become a distraction to keep you not looking at the real things that are happening in our country. That's what the media is now. So you got to start paying. I know C-SPAN's boring as hell. I get that, but I encourage everyone to start tuning into C-SPAN and watch what goes on. Listen and pay attention, and you'll be like, hold on now. Wait a minute. I'm not cool with this. How did this even get to right here? You know, on the 9th of September, I believe Hillary's going back to court. You notice that has been getting no news coverage? Every time she was in, no news coverage. Why? Why did they distract you? Why did they keep you distracted from that? That's something that we need to know. She was going to be the president of the United States at one point in time, and now she's on trial and we hear nothing about it. Why? Why are we hearing nothing about it? And then we were told through the whole time when people were bashing the current president, oh no, it's fake. He just this, he just that. That's all fake. But yet now she's on trial. Now she's on trial and we find out, okay, he was telling the truth. He wasn't lying. So why aren't we hearing about it yet? You want us to look at the other side and think that they're evil and they're this and they're that and they're doing all these bad things. But we're not hearing anything about bills that's being passed through, legislation that's being written up, court dates that's going on with people that were going to be running our country, child trafficking, big names, celebrities, and politicians that are being accused of some of the most inhumane crimes possible, some of the most evil shit ever to be put out there, ever. And we hear nothing about any of it. We hear about the things that will keep us divided instead of the things that will bring us together.
Well, did you know that there's a bill sitting on Senate floor? It's been there for over a year now for pedophiles.
There's a what?
There's a bill sitting on Senate floor. It made, I want to say it's made it to the floor, but it didn't get passed, or it almost made it to the floor. But they tried to pass it back in January 2019.
What is it?
I made a post of it. It's on my page. But they tried to pass a bill for pedophiles. I want to say in favor of pedophiles, like for a reason of it's like a mental illness or a, you know, what they're trying to do now with trying to justify, like trying to get what do you say?
A sexual preference?
Yeah, thank you. Something like that, where or like within so many years it's not pedophilia, with consent and some other garbage. They tried to pass it in 2019. They tried to push it up and it got stopped, but it's sitting there waiting. They're just waiting. So it's sitting there and nobody heard about it. Nobody knew about it. Someone made an article about it in January 2020. And I had recently seen it. I was like, what the hell is this? Because someone else posted it and they're like, they're trying to do this right now. And, you know, context and research and all that. So I went into it and I looked at it. I didn't dig deeper because after you said who's pushing these forward, like, I'm like, I wonder who did push it forward. Like, who tried to push that up? What type of person would try and push that up? it's sitting there waiting. So
I can tell you, it's State Senator Scott Wiener, Democrat of San Francisco, and Assemblywoman Susan Eggman.
That's right.
Introduced recent legislation in 2019, February of 2019, to end blatant discrimination against LGBT young people regarding California's sex offender registry. So it's not, so to give you the idea, I just read through it. It did not make it through, but it was essentially the whole concept was if they were within 10 years of, if they're within 10 years of the person, the victim, that they would not have to register as a sex offender. It's just a different level of crime. So it was almost taking away the level of crime for being with somebody that was less than 10 years different than you, because he says the current law that is part of the Sex Offenders Registration Act disproportionately targets LGBT young people from mandatory sex offender registration.
That's crazy, man. Let me tell you something. This is what I'm trying. This is the whole point that I be trying to make, man. Why would this even be introduced? What would be the purpose of this being introduced? And especially in the time now, think about something, okay? When the president our current president right now came into office, the world switched up and they started hating this dude. They started doing everything. They wanted to impeach him. They wanted to with no evidence of why, mind you. Just accusations, just hearsay. And they start doing all these things to try to get everybody to turn and hate this man, right? Then they start introducing these type of bills. And you start hearing in different cities where they're putting up posters about pedophilia being a sexual preference. And then when he starts making all these claims and he's like, oh, I'm going to show you, it's going to come to light. You'll see real soon. I'm draining the swamp. And everybody's like, what do you mean draining the swamp? What is he talking about? Then all this different stuff starts popping out with celebrities, public figures, politicians, all this different accusations of different crimes committed, the things that they blamed him with Russia, the stuff that they blamed him of doing with Russia. Come to find out, no, it wasn't him. It was actually the people accusing him that was doing this stuff with Russia. Okay? So why are they pushing it now? Could it be because they might be convicted of the crime that they're trying to make not really a crime anymore? Just a question. Could that be the reason?
It's very odd to see, like, how does that even come up? Like, what lobbyist goes up to somebody who's like, all right, so I got an idea for a bill.
You know what I mean?
It's so weird. Like, hey, you know what? Like, are you over like having a beer with like a congressman and be like, you know what's weird? Why do we have the sex registry for people that were like within 10 years of age? It makes like, how does that come up in conversation? Or what lobbyist had that direct contact? Like, hey, let's go golfing at my multi-million-dollar country club. While we're at it, I need to talk to you about something.
Maybe it's because it's like, hey, you know what? I think we might be going to jail soon, so we have to do something about it.
Right?
I'm just go ahead and say it. That's what I think. Because why else would you think that this is okay? Something that's not been okay for a long time. And then all this stuff pops out. Like, you've seen all the stuff with Disney? All the different things that they put in Disney that is blatantly sexual, blatantly messed up. I'm just going to say that. Messed up. And it's been happening for forever. It's just now that we had the capability. When DVDs came out, it started making it more apparent. When DVDs came out, you had the ability to slow play things, and frame by frame, you get to see things. And then you start noticing all these things. Like, hold on, that's just say sex? Hold on. Was that a woman bent over? Hold on. Is that some titties? Hold on. Is that a dildo? Straight up. Not kidding you. I'm not joking about none of this.
Yeah, little Easter eggs.
The little Easter eggs. But that could also... See, to me, that's where I start spiraling out of like, is this a conversation worth having? Are we losing focus? Because those could be disgruntled employees. Those could be disgruntled designers that are just like doing, or just perverted designers, not even disgruntled, just people are like, screw it.
Maybe.
So
maybe.
I mean, there's thousands, and I mean, knowing that world of graphic designers and whatever it is, there's thousands of people that go into the production. I think there's very concrete things to look at. I personally avoid some of the Disney stuff because I know how easily that can be taken out of context, and it's so far from provable. That's my issue with the Disney stuff.
So far from provable of the person that did it, but it's there. I've seen it. Like
it's there. 100%.
And then when I'm looking at it, and like you said, you don't know who it was that could have did it. It's a lot of production, but doesn't these things have to be watched and frame by frame looked at? And back in the day when they were drawing it out, you're actually drawing these things. So the person drawing these things, the work has to go before someone, I'm assuming, and they have to approve it and say, "Oh, I love it." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then when you look at the whole stuff with the employees and the things that have been done there, you know, to me, conspiracy, it's very intriguing. I love conspiracy because a lot of times it comes out to be true. Like in the instance of what happened with the Catholic Church, with all them popes, right? When people were making the claims, everybody's like, "Nah, no way, no way. That never happened. That's not true. That's a conspiracy. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a nut." And then the truth comes out, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, it was true."
What is that called, Cash?
What?
It's your favorite word. When we don't believe it for a long period of time because of it being
cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Your core belief being so strong. Your core belief being so strong that even when you're shown the facts, you say, "No. No way. I can take you outside and tell you, no, the sky is actually blue today." And you're like, "No, the sky was black and purple last night." Even though you see it, you still don't believe it. And also, yes, the doll. I'm sorry, Jantisha, I'm gonna hand it over to you right now. Okay. That doll, that was another big thing. The Dreamcast doll, the Trolls doll. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was
Did you see that, Anthony?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's weird. Super weird.
Like, for real?
Hey, have you seen there's another toy out there. Have you seen it's LOL dolls? I think it's LOL dolls. They're little tiny dolls like this. And they put them in water and then lingerie shows up.
No.
Yeah.
That's a real thing?
Oh, yeah. No, I saw somebody share that video. It's okay. Well, it's just weird. It's like underwear. It's odd. To me, the troll doll is way weirder.
It's like they're grooming children.
They're lingerie though. Like
it looked like
a devil's tail.
Okay, I didn't see that. It looked a little bit like the ones that I saw. There was like a lingerie-ish looking one. Then there was one that looked like yoga pants. I think it was just that to me was another weird one. Whereas the troll one was like
that. Yeah, that was obvious. Like, hello. So my question was, but isn't that where conspiracies come from though? Like some bit of truth in it, and then your brain kind of like sputters out.
Did you know that, Cash? You know the history of the word conspiracy theory?
No, teach me.
Conspiracy theory was actually a terminology created by the CIA, I believe, in the 1950s. That was put in place when they started doing certain kinds of research and bringing forth certain kinds of information, and they did not want people knowing what the U.S. government and world governments were doing and how the CIA was related. So creating a terminology called conspiracy theories allowed people to cognitively disconnect from it. So it created shame on those people that were able to do research and say something about this doesn't make sense. So instead of saying your story doesn't make sense, they said that's a conspiracy theory. And then they took the phrasing and turned it into something that created shame on the person. So it made people essentially discredited just by having a difference in opinion. That's where conspiracy theory came from.
Yes, but it was based on some kind of truth.
Of course, 100%. It was based on a lot of truth. Yeah.
Yes, some truth that they dug up and they found when they were researching. That's where they come from, though. People researching and digging into something that they weren't technically supposed to. And as you said, they had to find something to discredit them for so that it could create a hoax. You know what I mean? What's the word? A distraction.
Distraction. Yes. Distraction hoax. But with that said, the Earth is round. I'm just going to say that right now.
It's a pear shape. Did you not hear the guy? Pear shape. The scientists said it. Neil, what's his name? Neil deGrasse.
I don't even know.
He said it's an oblique pear shape.
Yeah. Get it, Neil.
He's a scientist.
He
Okay?
is.
Yeah. The Earth is a pear, not an apple. Get it right. All right. Anyway. Now we're just trolling. We got to stop doing that.
Trolling,
look.
I see what you did there. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So let's wrap it up. You guys give me your final thoughts. And also, I think that we should probably do a show one of these days where all of us get together and do our homework on conspiracies that were found out to be true, just so we can show the people how many conspiracies that there actually were that actually turned out to be true, and then bring up the conspiracies that are current today and show why they might be true or why they might not be true. So let's try to dispel and expose some after we show the ones that are already been legitimized. Cool? All right. You guys got homework. Go ahead.
Right,
Wrap it up.
Tisha, you go.
Wrap it up with you, John Tisha. You go first.
What am I doing? Final thoughts. I came in late.
Okay. Tell them what you want them to hear from you.
Keep your eyes open, pay attention. There's a lot going around us that we miss all the time, not just in government. I mean, we miss a lot when we get really busy, and we realized that when COVID happened, when the lockdowns happened, how much we were actually missing because we had to slow down. So I'm just encouraging you to intentionally slow down and pay attention to the things, in your life, in your family, what's going on, but also around you, and then share what you've realized or what you found out, because sharing is caring, my friend.
Yes, I agree. John Tisha, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. You guys go find John Tisha, follow her. She has some amazing things going on her page that I'm very excited about. Get ready for a new women's conference that we're coming up with and a new men's conference that we're coming up with. We'll talk about it. I gotcha. Okay. And then
I was just going to say, since you brought it up, Wednesdays at 11:30 on my page,
okay.
Pacific time.
Gotcha. Also, John Tisha, get me those people. Give me those people. Funny guy, comedian.
Hey, I've already been in contact with my friend. His name is Lavelle. He is a Christian artist, and I've already been in contact with him. I'm just waiting for me and you. The comedian is Chris's responsibility.
Gotcha. I will call you when we're done.
He started that. He started that already. He's just so he started the first contact. He's right in the middle of the second contact, waiting to make the actual connection. But we're on it.
Gotcha, sister. Always a pleasure. I appreciate you.
All right. Until next time.
Peace. Go ahead, my brother.
All right. So again, we got a little bit more political on your show than we typically do. I think the ultimate thing that I want to end with is just the key behind being the change, and by breaking down barriers is to stay true to your word. And if you don't, be honest about it and be genuine and give reasons why and explain things to people. Be open-minded to changing who you are. I think a lot of us have changed political parties multiple times in our life. So giving an example of what not to do to end the show, I'm going to talk about Sean King's post. Sean King had a post in November of 2018 saying, "I'll be frank and tell you two Democrats that I'm 99% sure I won't be supporting, primarily because of their dismal history on criminal justice reform over the course of their entire careers, is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They both helped build and advance mass incarceration."
Thanks.
Yes. Yesterday, Sean King says, "That's it for me. I'm incredibly proud to see a brilliant Black woman and historic Black college university grad chosen as vice presidential nominee. I've done political work my whole life. It's rarely things dreams are made of. Kamala Harris is the most progressive VP nominee in American history." All I can say is, if you want to change your stance, be honest about the way you change your stance. If you are a conservative that wants to become a Democrat, explain why. Don't hide your opinions before who you are, because that level of being genuine is what's going to get people to listen to you and allow you to be decent to each other. The only thing I will not stand for is people not allowing people to have a freedom of choice of who they are going to vote for, why they feel a certain way that is rooted in their environment and in their history. If you are going to support Biden, if you're going to support Trump, you are equal, in my opinion. if you're going to fight the person that is voting for somebody else, whether you are fighting against Biden supporters as human beings or fighting against Trump supporters, you are less than equal to me. I will be dead honest with you. But having the openness to allow people to choose is all I ask for personally, because that is how we're going to break down barriers, because politics are not going to save our country right now. Only we can as people.
I agree. My brother, you have a fantastic night. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Now, my final thoughts. This year's been crazy. 2020 has been nuts, straight up. Been a lot of downs and not too many ups. And that's unfortunate for everyone. On both sides, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're black, if you're white, whatever. It's been a sucky year. COVID, all types of stuff going on in the world. It sucks, straight up. But we're still alive. We still have time to be the change. We still have time to become better. We still have time to unite. No matter what you support when it comes to politics or religion or whatever your beliefs are, your sports team, whatever, it shouldn't divide us. If you're a Biden supporter, all the power to you. I love you still, straight up. If you're a Trump supporter, all the power to you. I love you still. Okay? We cannot allow these things to divide us. If you're black, white, Mexican, Asian, I love you. You're American. We cannot become so divided over issues that aren't real issues. You know? Now, if you want to say I support or that if you want to say you're in support of like the pedophile bill, right? That's something to become divided over, because I'm like, okay, your mind's a little skewed there. I'm not with that. I can't mess with you because of that. That's a real reason, because you have personal things vested in it. You have children, you have nieces, nephews. That's okay. That's something that we all can agree on, but we have to figure out how to unite, right? Under a banner of positivity. Under a banner of positivity. A lot of people right now in this country are united under a banner of negativity. Because you can do that. You can unite people under a banner of hate, under a banner of race, under a banner of sports, under a banner of politics. What I'm asking of you is to unite under a banner of being a positive American, a patriot, a good human being. That's it. Regardless. See, streetlights is made up of a bunch of different people. Streetlights are people that used to have gang backgrounds, people that are pastors, people that are Muslims, people that are Republican, people that are Democrat, people that are tall, people that are short, black, white, Asian, brown, red, whatever. We're everything with streetlights. We're a mixture of people just like America. And we all want unity. We want equality. We want peace. We want people to be treated like people at the end of the day. That's what everyone wants. It's for people to be treated like people. You want people to treat you how you want to be treated. So if somebody is a Christian, you don't make comments about them being a Christian and down them for it. If somebody wants to support Joe Biden, you don't down that person for wanting to, support Joe Biden. If somebody supports Trump, you don't down that person for wanting to support Trump. You can have a difference of opinion on views. That's fine. You can debate all day, but at the end of it, you should be able to say, "Oh, I love you, man. You have a good day." That's the whole point. That's what we got to do. Okay? You don't have to hate someone because of what they believe, unless it's in direct conflict with your well-being, your safety. You get what I'm saying? We got to fix it. There's other things that are important. This one big thing, this child trafficking thing, this human trafficking thing is huge. That's a banner that everyone should unite under. Forget the politics. Let's unite under a banner of stop child trafficking, stop human trafficking, save our children. Let's unite underneath that and stand on that. And then when the truth comes out, we're all together and we're fighting the same cause. Regardless of politics, religion, race, creed, we're together and we're saying we're not having this. We unite underneath that banner. All right? A better America, a better world for everyone, especially our children. Let's unite under stop the violence instead of just police brutality. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just Black Lives Mattering. Let's unite under stop the violence as a whole. Stop the corruption as a whole. We have to create a better America, a better world. And the only way that we're going to be able to take back the power is if we unite. Because the only power that we have is in numbers. Just 331 million Americans torn over the most ridiculous things. Okay? We got to stop that. We have to come together. We have the power. You have the power. Together, we are America. So let's save our children. Let's stop the violence. Let's stop the corruption. Let's unite, not fight. Be a street light. Only you can be the change that you want to see in the world. Okay? That being said, I love you guys and thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's a little bit different tonight. I get that. But I thank you for being here with me on this show. I want to be coming live to you here in a little bit to give my personal perspective on things that I couldn't say on here. All right? You